once in a while there's like an Adderall shortage, like there's like widespread panic, you know.
And then it's the same thing as like when they tried to like limit the amount of OxyContin. People go to street heroin. And if you're addicted to Adderall and your dealer, the guy who sells you weed, is like, hey man, I can get you like low grade meth, the stuff the Nazis took. Like,
well, they had high grade meth. Actually, they had pharmaceutical grade. They had big meth. It was like made by like pharmaceutical grade meth is going to be like there's this. I mean, it's just look at the online Wikipedia page, but there's like many different versions of meth, like not all the same, and they have different effects. So, but like pharmaceutical grade pure meth, you are going to be, oh my god,
super productive.
Super productive for a certain period of time, and you're not going to sleep for a while, and then you will have some anger management issues. So like they actually the Nazis, they did actually roll back how much meth they were using, because they had quite a few incidents of the soldiers killing their officers because they were on too much meth.
Jesus Christ.
So they would, yeah, so they would shoot. That to me, officer got pranked by the you know, the platoon that was on too much meth. That happened quite a few times. Like you just, when someone's on a lot of meth, they're very angry.
Did you ever pay attention to when John McAfee was cooking meth in a lab in his backyard?
McAfee's quite a character.
He was a character. We had him on the podcast when he was on the run. So he called in from an undisclosed location when he was running from, where was he, Costa Rica? Is that where he was? Belize, yeah. Right. So when he was running from the authorities, he called in. We had him on the podcast on the run. And I was asking him about these posts. Like, because there was an online account that was linked to him where he had this very detailed laboratory, like super sophisticated, making the best meth. Like a super genius cooking meth.
I mean, I feel like he has lab, like he was making like a wide range of drugs. And there's I talked to actually like a reporter who went down and interviewed him in Belize. And of course, man, this is one of the scariest things. He was quite terrified. So one of the things that McAfee he had, I guess, this trick where he would play Russian roulette with himself. So he'd put a bullet in the revolver, and they'd spin the chamber. And clearly he had like some trick to know that it was not. There's some way that he knows it's not the right bullet. But I do wonder, like, if McAfee's high and he does that, he's not always going to get the trick right.
You sure he had a trick?
So according to this reporter, when he went to visit McAfee in Belize, McAfee took out the revolver, put a bullet in the revolver, spun the chamber, and then pointed at his head. And went click, and of course they say, please don't do this. Like, this is insane. Click, 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 and then pointed the gun to the ground, and then went click, bang, and shot a bullet in the ground.
Jeez.
It's a hell of a body trick. This is the next level body
That's
trick.
the guy I've seen the Deer Hunter.
Yes.
Remember that scene? Where they were forcing...
Yes.
Yeah.
Woo.
That's a heavy scene.
That's a heavy scene.
De Niro and Christopher Walken. That's one of the greatest scenes in any movie ever. I remember watching that scene just like clawing at my pants.
Yeah.
McAfee was a wild boy.
Wow.
And he created brilliant antivirus software.
Yeah. Yeah. He may have made some of the viruses too.
You think so? Well, didn't he like give laptops to a bunch of government organizations
with viruses on them?
Yeah. So that he could like pay attention to what they were doing? Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody whacked that guy. I don't know what happened to him, but he would be a guy that would be like, this guy is a little bit too loose.
It probably had sensitive information, I don't know.
For sure he did.
I mean, I found him to be an interesting guy. I mean, like, I'm generally, like, feel like if somebody's not harming someone else, they should be okay. Now, there is some suggestion that McAfee, like, killed his neighbor in Belize.
Yeah.
So,
probably did. The neighbor was a douchebag.
I think he probably did.
Seems like he probably did. Seems like the neighbor killed his dog.
Yes.
Right? And then it seems like he killed the neighbor.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean,
it seems like
it's not a zero possibility.
It's not definitely not zero.
He's
Seems
messed
more
up.
likely than not.
He's a messed up wild man playing Russian roulette. Hey, if you kill your fucking neighbor. I mean, if somebody killed your dog, you'd be really inclined to kill them too.
Yeah.
Somebody killed your squirrel.
Yeah, John Wick.
Yeah. The fucking squirrel thing is bananas.
Yeah.
That squirrel thing in New York.
So the other thing with the whole squirrel thing is that how can it be that we live in America, supposedly land of the free, and the government can barge into your home with guns, and so if you resist, you're going to get shot, and then take your pets and execute them. If they can do that to your pets, what do you think they can do to you?
And that's not an exaggeration.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're oh, that's so crazy. How can you make that connection? But why would you kill that cute little squirrel that was obviously a pet and trained from the time it was a baby?
Yeah.
If you see the interaction that guy has with that squirrel, it was wonderful. It was really cute.
Yes, absolutely. It was just obviously it was a beloved pet squirrel, and a raccoon too, and doing no harm, and the government comes in, barges into the guy's house, takes his pets and kills them, and I think this should really get people out there mobilized, frankly, because everything you said, like the John Wick movie, where John Wick's like, he just wants peace, like, in the John Wick movie, he's like, listen, I want to retire. And they offer him like tons of money, like because they want him to be an assassin, to keep being an assassin. They offer him tons of money. They threaten him. He's like, listen, I'm not going to be, I'm out. And they kill his dog. That was a bad idea. That was a
They killed a
really...
cute little puppy, and the puppy was his ex-wife's gift to him when she died of cancer.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Best revenge movie of all
Yeah.
time. Because it's so ridiculous, he kills everybody.
He kills everyone.
You're rooting for him.
Yeah. They shouldn't have killed his dog.
Yeah, they fucked up. And they shouldn't have killed that squirrel.
They should have killed that squirrel. I mean, he's like, how many cases have we not heard about?
Oh, little guy. And that squirrel clearly had a love relationship with that guy. He would hop all over him and climb on him. I mean, that was his pet. That squirrel thought of that man as his protector, as his companion.
Yes.
There was nothing wrong with that. And in Texas, it's totally legal. You can have a fucking zebra out here. You can have whatever you want. And that's the argument for freedom. And, the flip side is you get a bunch of people with tigers in their backyard, which is not great.
It's like, it's just a fucking squirrel. It's not an anaconda or crocodile or something that's
or a chimpanzee. Did you see Chimp Crazy?
Oh man, chimps will eat your face.
They will fuck you up.
They will fuck
And
you up.
the thing is, they don't even kill you. They just cripple you. Chimps don't even kill people.
Yeah.
Which is really weird. They just bite your hands off and bite your dick off and tear your face apart.
Yes.
They want to leave you. They could kill you easily, but she'd want to just punch you in the head until you're dead. It wouldn't take long, but they don't kill you. They just rip you apart.
Yeah.
And you can have a chimp. And so,
Yeah,
well, you used to be able to have a chimp in a lot of states, and then Chimp Crazy kind of exposed a lot of that, and PETA did a great job of stopping people from keeping chimps as pets. Because once they hit like 5, you can't control them anymore.
Well, it's obviously totally understandable if somebody's got, a creature that is dangerous to others. But obviously a squirrel or a raccoon or not.
Well, squirrels are fucking everywhere. That's what's so crazy.
Yeah,
like, why can't you have it in the house? What kind of rules are we dealing with? You have rats everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, they're allowing criminals to go free and like violent criminals to go free, but they're like spending your tax dollars to come in and execute your fucking pets. What the hell's going on?
Exactly.
And it's like,
but it's overreach.
It's going overreach, and this just keeps getting worse every year, and that's why we've got to fight back against this. It's people say like, well, it's just a squirrel. Well, it was in John Wick's case, it was just a dog.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well, remember the Russian guy said, it's a fucking dog. It's just a fucking dog.
just a fucking squirrel.
Yeah. Well, it's the funniest thing is when
So.
I just don't understand how anybody can justify it. I don't understand how anybody, it seems to me that in a logical world, all that guy would have to do is say, why don't you see me with the squirrel? The squirrel's a pet.
Yeah.
Like, look, he hops on me, he eats, he sleeps. I can keep a gerbil, but I can't keep a squirrel. I can have a guinea pig, I can't have a squirrel. I can have a chinchilla. My daughter has a chinchilla. It's adorable. Adorable. Climbs all over her.
When you find a deal on your favorite thing in the McDonald's app and order it, does that technically count as online shopping? Save money with the app.
At participating McDonald's, prices may vary.
Can't have a squirrel.
Even if they did take the squirrel away, couldn't they have released it into the where there's a lane?
Well, the idea is you have to euthanize it because it's used to being fed. It doesn't know how to forage. It won't be able to find a home. Squirrels are brutal. Squirrels are absolutely brutal to each other. They throw each other out of trees, which is one of the reasons why squirrels can fall from 30 feet, just kind of bounce off the ground and live. It's a natural adaptation because squirrels during mating they bite each other. They used to be a rumor. There was a myth that squirrels bite each other's nuts off, and that seems to be a myth. But it came out of the fact that squirrels are so ruthless during mating. So one female is just running away. I have squirrels in my backyard. I watch them all the time. One female apparently goes into estrus, and all the male squirrels fight to get to her. So they're running up trees and chasing each other around trees, and literally throwing each other off trees to try to so if this poor little Peanut, the squirrel, who's used to living with a guy in an apartment, gets out there in the wild world.
Well, fair enough, at least they have a chance.
Yeah, at least he has a chance. But how about just leave him with the guy?
Yeah, leave it with the guy for sure.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you killing that squirrel? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and then to add insult to injury, there were a bunch of people on the left who were actually posting that they're glad that a squirrel got killed, which is fucking. Yeah.
The fucking squirrel has an ideology. It's a cute looking fluffy squirrel.
Exactly.
Well, it's a nice symbol because most reasonable, compassionate people think that's terrible, and most people who have pets think it's terrible.
So I don't know. I hope people just go out there and vote. Nothing else. Just vote for Peanut.
They've done such a job of painting Trump as a monster. They've taken the worst things that he's ever said and he's not a perfect person, but guess what? No one's a perfect person. They don't exist. This purity test, if Obama was a perfect person, he wouldn't be lying on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
That very fine people hoax.
Exactly.
No one's going to be a perfect person, but the thing that they didn't understand about Trump is he's so crazy that if you tell him, he can't be president, remember Obama did that during that White House press correspondence? There's one thing that I am that you'll never be president of the United States. He said Trump, it's going, okay, motherfucker.
The funny thing is, I was actually at that White House correspondence dinner where, it's supposed to be roasting the president.
Right.
Trump's there. He's there. He's actually supporting. It's basically, if you go to the White House correspondence dinner, you're there in support, actually, of the president, in support of the press.
Right.
It's meant to be that you're roasting the president. Trump's just there, and he's actually, he's there as part of the support. And then they turned it around and just started roasting Trump, and he's just sitting there he's like, I just came to the dinner. I'm just here to support.
We know what it was because of, right? The birther stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's what it all was. It was all, Trump was at the head of a lot of these people spreading this rumor online that Obama's birth certificate was forged, that he's actually from Kenya. What's weird is, if you go back to Obama's early days, there are some things that say he's from Kenya. I think it is something from college said he was from Kenya. But that could just be, people print things wrong all the time. Doesn't mean he's actually from Kenya. But Trump was one of those guys that was spreading that supposedly false rumor.
Was he pushing it hard? This is the kind of thing where I want to just go and look and say, what did he actually say?
No, he definitely was. He was definitely saying, look, I don't think he has the time to go into things very deeply.
Yeah.
And so I think he could probably be influenced by a bunch of people, these Marjorie Taylor Greene type people who come to him with some wild ass theory.
Sure.
He might be, and I think there's a lot of that stuff that gets fed to people on purpose so that they'll say incorrect things so that they're easy to dismiss.
Sure.
And I think there's also a lot of people that just make shit up. They tell you the earth is flat, and a bunch of people watch a YouTube video and they believe it.
Yeah, well, but on that White House correspondence, I was there, and the degree to which they attacked Trump in that White House correspondence, it was really, it was so over the top. It was like making everyone uncomfortable.
Really?
It was really over the top. You know, I mean, I think like sort of a passing joke, like, you know, a few passing jokes are fine, but they twisted the knife big on Trump. And you can see Trump just getting like angrier and angrier and more upset.
I wonder if
and it's like, man, this is not good karma. You know? That's what I was thinking at the time. Look, I'm two tables away from Trump, and I'm like, man, this is too much. You know?
well, it's kind of crazy what they've made out of that, because that's the kind of guy that if you tell him he can't do something, he's going to just keep trying. Like what?
It was a big mistake to rag on him so much of that White House correspondence.
Well, just look at the way they've attacked him with just using the legal system, like this thing in New York where the 34 different felony counts are essentially misdemeanors. That they're bookkeeping errors that they decided, even though it passed the statute of limitations, they started to try him for these. They didn't identify a felony.
Abuse of the law. That's what's going on.
But most people would have quit.
Yeah.
Most people, up to the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit, this lawsuit, and all the other ones that they're the insurrection thing, the Georgia thing, all these different things. They're getting kicked off of Twitter. Most people would have just like, this is too much, I can't take this. But he's so fucking crazy. He's like, all right, come on, we're going to war. And he just digs his fucking heels in and keeps going.
Yeah.
It's the wrong guy to do that to. Just like attacking him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, most people would have been humiliated. He got angry. He's like, yeah, all right, say I can't be president? All right, I've been thinking about running for about 15 fucking years. Finally, I'm gonna run. Yeah.
That was a real bad move. But yeah, I mean, I can sort of understand like making some jokes about like, you know, a few sort of passing jokes on Trump. But man, I was there at that dinner, and they ragged on Trump so much it was insane.
The reason why I would push back on that, because I would say there's a bunch of different speakers, right? And Trump would obviously be a target, and if they all attacked him, it's because he's like, if you're going to make fun of people in the audience, and especially in the zeitgeist, that whole birther thing was big, and most people were dismissing it as being a ridiculous conspiracy theory. So who the fuck is this guy saying this? And so you have 8 to 10 individual speakers that are writing monologues. Of course, they're all going to hit Trump.
Yeah, well, anyway, obviously it was a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. But I invite people to watch the original source material, and I think a few jokes are fine. You know, it's like, but it's like he shouldn't be like it felt like he was the primary object of the roast.
Yeah.
Which is that's not the whole point of the thing. Is it's a roast of the president, not a roast of the audience.
The thing about it is like he's easy to roast.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Obama was like loved and cherished by the left.
Yes.
And most of those people are on the left. There's only so far you can push. You know, you can't ask about a chef. You know, there's like certain what happened with the chef, bro? You can't. There's like certain things you can't bring up.
What's your favorite sport? Paddleboarding?
Yeah. Wasn't that guy a really good swimmer?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
You can't bring that up. Like if you're gonna roast Hillary, you can't bring up the death count.
Like Hillary, what's the best way to stay in touch? Email.
Yeah. If you're doing one of those
should
things,
destroy the servers and pour like bleach on the servers, like computers.
you pour bleach on them?
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what. Like it wasn't just like they took a hammer to it. They like destroyed. Like there was no possible way to actually get it to anything.
What was it?
Well, like that. That's what I mean.
What was it? What was it?
Why would they care so much?
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
There was no legal action against that, which is their destruction of evidence.
Well, it's also there's this other narrative that always drives me crazy is that he's going to destroy democracy. So in order to destroy democracy, we have to install a president without a primary. We have to have a candidate that is the least liked vice president of all time, the least popular vice president of all time, and then use gaslighting and the full force of the media machine to turn her into the future. And hope. Right. And then she's gonna be changed, even though she's the sitting vice president. And then on top of that, this idea of change when the Democrats have been in control for what, 12 or 16 years?
Right.
Which is crazy. Like, this is the change. True.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I view this election as a turning point, like a fork in the road of destiny that is incredibly important. I've not been politically active until this election, and the reason I've been politically active this election is because I think if we don't elect Trump, I think we will lose. We will lose democracy in this country. We'll lose the two-party system. And let me explain why. So there's only like six or seven swing states. The margin of victory in those states is small, often like 10 or 20,000 votes. What the Democrat administration has been doing is importing vast numbers of illegals into swing states. You can look at the numbers on the actual government website. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. You can just look at the numbers as reported by the government, which is controlled by the Democrats. And what we're seeing is triple-digit increases in the number of illegals in every swing state. In some cases, 700% increases. These are gigantic numbers. So if you have a state that has a 10 or 20,000 vote margin, and you put 200,000 illegals in that state, you 10x you swamp the. It's not a swing state anymore. It's going to vote blue. And once the swing states vote blue, there is no election anymore. There's only a Democrat primary.
Which is so crazy. And it's so crazy that people are fine with that.
Well, I guess people on the left will be fine with that because they think that's a good idea.
They just want to win. They just want to win.
Correct. Like the thing is, one does not need actually any kind of conspiracy theory for this. You just have to look at the simple matter of incentives. If the Democrat Party wants to basically achieve permanent victory, all they need to do is turn the swing states. Turn the swing states blue, they have permanent victory. And then we're a one-party state, and then they will keep doing that. Obviously, they will keep stacking the deck by bringing in vast numbers of illegals into the swing states. Keep stacking it so that the next election, each successive election, will be worse than the last one. And that's what's happening. And if you want to see, well, is this actually happening? Look at California. California is supermajority down, 70% down. A month ago, they passed a law making it illegal to show ID in any election. So a friend of mine went to vote in Palo Alto because he was like, "Is this for real?" He tried to show his ID, and they reacted like if you show a cross to a vampire. They're like, "No, we can't even look at that ID." It is illegal for them to even look at your ID if you want to present it in California.
Why?
For any election at all, even like city council.
What logical reason other than to cheat would you ever have that law?
The reason is to cheat.
But the it's only like you can never make an argument any other way. And I think 84% of people polled believe that you should show ID and vote. So it's against the will of the people.
Yes, and we're extremely rare. We're an outlier in not requiring ID. Basically, almost every country on earth requires ID. So as soon as you ban ID from voting, it makes fraud impossible to prove. Because how do you trace the fraud?
Right. Yeah, it's insane.
It's insane.
It's insane.
And what I'm saying is that
how is it legal?
What I'm saying is this election is the last chance to preserve democracy in America. Mark my words. Everything they accuse Trump of, they are guilty of. And if Trump doesn't win, this will be the last real election in America. And we will, if the big Kamala puppet machine wins, they will legalize the illegals in the swing states. There will be no swing states. Every election going forward will be a guaranteed Democrat win. And it'll actually be worse than California. The reason it'll be worse than California is because the one thing that keeps California from being super crazy is that you can move out of California, like you and I did. You and I used to be in California, but we moved to Texas. We're still in America. But if the Dems won this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried
to
push
just
back?
Go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. This is the last chance, man.
Is there any argument against this? Has anybody tried to debate this? Has anybody tried to say that this is nonsense, this is a conspiracy? Has anybody made any sort of a rational argument?
The left actually, interestingly, does not want to pick up much on this argument because the more attention you look, the more you look at it, the more obviously it is true. Because you just say like, well, are the numbers correct? Are there really this many illegals that have been imported into swing states? Yes. They haven't just walked across the border. They've been flown in airplanes.
Yeah. Using a shipping app.
Yes.
Yeah.
They made an app.
Well, the app always existed, but it used to be for people coming over here, like shipping with goods, so they could track you while you're in America, so you can legally be here, they know where you are. And then they changed it to allow that app to schedule illegal aliens to come across the border.
Yes.
Asylum seekers.
Yeah.
Come on in. Oh, you have an app. And you
so
fly people in.
They're literally being flown in
Yeah.
to the swing states. And so the reason that I think left doesn't want to push back on this is because the more attention they get that this gets, the more people realize it is true.
Yeah, it is true.
That's why they don't. That they're just pretending. That they're pretending I'm not saying anything. But I'm like, yo, they're literally flying vast numbers of illegals who are then beholden to the Democrats. And sometimes you get the rebuttal of people say like, well, you know, these illegals they don't have the same social values as the Democrat Party because they're like more socially conservative. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the point. That if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that their primary thing is staying in the country and getting their friends and family in, and then the Democrats give them all these benefits, like tons of benefits, more benefits than than citizens, literally.
Yeah.
They're beholden to the Democrats for all these benefits. They want to get the friends and family in, which the Democrats support and the Republicans don't. So they vote Dem. And you can look empirically at California and say, like, did they vote Republican or Democrat in California? Oh, they voted Democrat.
Well, Reagan gave them amnesty in the 1980s, and that changed the state basically, except for Arnold, changed the state entirely blue.
Yes.
And Arnold was an exception because he was like a socially liberal, famous guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, didn't really impose any radical restrictions on any of the people that were going to vote Democrat in the first place. The whole thing is just, it's bizarre to watch play out because it just seems like this can't be actually what's happening. Did you see my conversation with Fetterman about it?
Yeah.
He was completely in denial about it. I don't think there's that level of organization. I'm like, what are you talking about?
There's exactly just like because you can break it down. So like, are any of these numbers wrong? Because we got these numbers from Homeland Security Government.gov. Okay.
Right.
So we got it from the .gov website. Has the government reported these numbers incorrectly? No, they have not. Those numbers, if anything, are low. So they have in fact flown vast numbers of illegals to swing states.
Yeah.
Bypassing the border entirely. And so that is factually true. They say like, well, what is their probable voting pattern? Overwhelmingly Democrat into swing states. And then, well, do the Democrats actually want to fast track them for citizenship? Yes, they do. Because you can see Chuck Schumer on TV saying at a rally, just saying he wants to fast track and make all 11 million, or however many, I believe the score was, citizens as soon as possible. So the goal is they are fast tracking citizenship as quickly as possible, so whether one thinks it's shady or not, it won't matter because they will be fully able to vote.
And for people on the left,
this is actually happening. I invite people to rebut this and show me where I'm wrong. Please do so.
No, they can't.
They can't.
They can't.
Because it's true.
Well, what's scary to me is that there's people that are on the left, like people that were Bernie Sanders supporters, for example.
Yeah, Bernie got screwed with the thing about undermining democracy. Bernie should have won the nomination. Exactly. And they stole it from him or gave it to Hillary.
Exactly. That's what I was going to bring up. Like they control the primary process.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you have a Democratic primary, it's not democratic. We just saw that. We saw it with Bernie. We saw it with Kamala. Like a week before Biden was summarily fired, he was posting that he's in it for the long term. He's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not giving up. The next thing you know, it's Sunday afternoon. They're posting on X that he's resigned from the race.
Which is,
and his staff didn't even know. Like, they're reading it on the X platform okay, that's how they learned about it.
what do you think happened? How did they do that? Because
he's
they
clearly
could've-
just not in charge.
They
Obviously.
could have used the 25th Amendment, right?
Fake president.
But they would have had to admit that there was a certain period of time where they knew that he was mentally compromised.
Yes.
And so they made this decision to not do that.
Well, the weird thing is that the president's supposed to be the boss,
Right.
and yet he's obviously not the boss.
Right, so who's running the country? If she's busy campaigning, she's so busy she can't do anything except Saturday Night Live. She did
Yeah.
that. She's so busy. She's constantly campaigning. How could you be paying attention to international relations?
Yeah.
How could you be paying attention to the economy? How could you be paying attention to any of those things? How do you have the time? You
Well,
can't.
Yeah, I mean, if Biden being the president's supposed to be the CEO, the chief guy, and he was the commander in chief. But it just obviously that Biden was not. He was just a puppet. And when the various puppet masters decided that puppet it was no longer useful, they just tossed out the puppet and then got a new puppet with Kamala. I mean, Kamala can't even talk. That you invited her on your show. I think the most damage that could possibly be done to a campaign is both going into the room and seeing what she says in hours 2 and 3.
2 and 3 is when things get
2 and
spicy.
3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
You get hired for
She's
20
gonna
minutes.
melt.
You get hired for 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just regurgitate talking points for, half an hour, maybe an hour, just where she's just saying like non sequiturs, but eventually she just runs out of non sequiturs.
Well, they wanted to limit it to an hour.
Exactly. That's
That
why.
was, but I was thinking of doing it initially. Before Trump came here, first of all, when they found out that there was a rumor, I never announced that Trump was coming. What I was going to do is just release it. The way I like to do things, I don't like to tell anybody who's coming on. It'll get big no matter what. If Trump was on, it would have been huge. I'm like, just put it out there, people go crazy.
Yeah.
But he apparently, or someone from his organization, someone with some loose lips, and then it got out. And so she contacted my management company, and her organization, her campaign contacted us and said, would Joe have her on? I said, yes. And they said, she wants you to fly to where she is, and she's only willing to do 45 minutes.
Only 40. I mean, that's cool.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, no. So I thought about doing it. I'm like, maybe I can get a sense. Maybe I could convince her. Maybe I could coax her into doing more time. I just wanted to talk to her.
Yeah.
Well, I don't give a fuck what we talk about. We talk about recipes. I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Just talk to me.
The things like you just can't you can't just output bullshit non sequiturs for 3 hours.
Right.
But
You
for
have to
45
talk.
minutes you can do.
I thought maybe for 45 minutes I could get something out of it. But then when Trump came and did the 3 hours, I was like, you know what? It has to be like this. This is the only way.
To be fair, it's got to be like 3
And it
hours.
should be in this room.
Yes.
Because this room has like a history of people expressing
vibes,
themselves.
actually.
Yeah, it's got good vibes.
Yeah.
Well,
That's very much.
I subscribe to the idea that places have memory.
Yeah.
I think there's something real to that.
It
That's why I like,
does feel that way, actually.
yeah. I'm sure if you go to Diddy's house, it probably feels
Oh,
real
like,
weird.
you
Probably
know?
feels weird walking around that house, probably like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah.
I've been through some memories in that house. You know?
Sounds rough, man.
Well, it's just amazing how many people in the Diddy party list are supporting Kamala.
Yeah, seriously. It's like they're saying.
Publicly, openly, like
Yeah.
all in.
Yes. It's like J-Lo was like his ex-girlfriend. and it's like now deciding she's like warning people against Trump. I'm
Is he
like,
the
well,
bad
wait a
one?
second. So how many people did she warn against Diddy?
Right.
Oh, 0. Okay.
Right.
Well, maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion.
Did you see the Babylon Bees take on it? Did you see the Babylon Bee
Babylon
fight?
is awesome.
Oh my god, they're so on fire. Because the left can't say anything.
Well,
Because the onion has been crippled.
well, the problem is that like the
Find that post.
the woke ideology makes like humor illegal.
Yes.
So when like there's so many humor no-fly zones,
Right.
you can't make fun of anything.
Yeah. Babylon Bee had a thing about Kamala Harris. Diddy's ex-girlfriend urges Americans to trust her judgment. Yeah. By the way, you get to see how bad an actress she is too. That
But I mean,
speech was terrible.
like if she's gonna be warning people, why did she never warn anyone about Diddy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole thing is so strange to watch play out. It seems like the Diddy thing was like an Epstein type compromise deal, where whether he was doing it himself. Conceivably, people want to think that he's attached to some intelligence agency or something like that. I think he's a gangster who made $1 billion and knew how to control people by compromising them. That's what I think. Whether or not he had help, I don't know. Whether or not he shared some of that information with people so they knew they had compromising stuff on people, I don't know. But clearly he was doing it for his own knowledge too. There was something sick about it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that people in the music industry, entertainment industry had to know that Diddy was like abusing, kids basically. And yet they still fed him kids. And like, where's the accountability?
There had to be rumors. There had to be.
They had to know.
Yeah.
They had to know.
Cat Williams was talking about it on.
Exactly.
Yeah, on that podcast.
But like it's like who's feeding him the kids?
Right. Yeah. And what videos do they have of these people where they're willing to defend them? And they're willing to keep quiet about all this? Like how many people were compromised?
Yeah.
The whole thing is fucking crazy.
Crazy.
It's just crazy when because the nutty conspiracy theories is like, oh, there's a bunch of pedophiles in Hollywood. And you're like, come on, that sounds too kooky. And then you see like the Nickelodeon thing and all these different, you're like, what the fuck? How much of this is real?
There's a lot more real than I think people realize.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is like you say, like where, if someone's like a pedophile, they're going to go for a target-rich environment.
Right.
Obviously.
Like that Jimmy Savile guy from the UK.
That guy was next level. That was next level. And the BBC tried to hide that one. That guy was one of the worst, like basically child rapists of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah. It looked like one.
It looked like one.
That's
like,
what's
honestly,
crazy.
if you had a poster of like, does this guy look like
the creepiest
like
fucking
an evil,
looking guy.
evil child rapist?
Yeah.
That 100%.
Made it to the grave. Like,
Yes.
got away with it.
Yes.
Got away with it until he died. They hid it from people until he died.
Yes.
Yeah, that stuff's real, and no one wants to believe that stuff's real. Like, here's a statistic that people need to take into consideration when you think about illegal immigration. Do you know how many kids are missing? How many
Like missing and
kids that came across the border that are unaccounted for?
I mean, there's still a number on like 300,000 or something.
Something crazy like that. Let's say it's only 10% of that.
Sure.
That's still insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. There's thousands and tens of thousands of kids that have been trafficked potentially. I mean, when you know that like sex trafficking and child trafficking is a real thing in the world, it's real.
Yeah.
So if you know that, this whole thing is fucking disgusting and terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people are just turning a blind eye to it because their ideology, the left-wing ideology, supports this idea that immigration is overall good and that you have to be a compassionate person to let these people in, and that you're racist if you don't want 20,000 immigrants from a war-torn country being imported into a town of 30,000 people.
Exactly.
And completely changing the dynamic of and then
as long as they don't come to your town.
Exactly.
Like that's it. They just basically send, when they said like whatever, like 20 or 30 people a month, as many as people had a heart attack.
They kicked them out.
Yeah, they kicked them out.
Yeah, they kicked them out.
Exactly. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Anyone here who wants to have vast numbers of illegals, they have to be able to be prepared to have them in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
Or it's bullshit.
It's so crazy. And the thing about all of this is if you don't have people that are willing to stand up and talk about it, if you don't exist, if RFK doesn't exist, if Tulsi Gabbard doesn't exist, if Vivek and Trump don't exist, where the fuck are we? Like, where are we? Where are we and what gets done? Are we just like the UK where we have thousands of people getting arrested and jailed for social media posts? Like, where are we? We have complete silencing of any dissent, anything. You have to stick to the narrative or you'll lose your livelihood, you'll be outcast from the community, you'll lose your freedom. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, if the puppet regime wins, they're definitely going to want to cancel you. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Yeah. What about you? You're going to come for you first.
I'm like, I think I'm probably number 2 on the list.
Yeah.
After Trump.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, that's the last thing they want is someone with unlimited resources and intelligence attacking it. So people go, wait a minute, that guy's saying that?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, especially a guy like you who's always been on the left, who's like, having a Tesla in Los Angeles, when I got my first Tesla, it was like a signal to everybody else that you were on the right team.
Sure.
You're environmentally conscious, you believe in green energy, you believe in this amazing thing that has zero emissions and it's super fast, and
Yeah.
everybody was in. They were all in.
Well, it is a great car objectively. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's not buying because it's electric. I mean, it's just a great car objectively.
I'm on my third one.
Yeah.
My third one is being built right now by Unplugged Performance. They're doing a carbon fiber wide body kit on it. Dude, it's sick.
Right.
Changing the suspension, putting wide wheels and tires on it,
Right.
custom interior. Fucking plumbed.
That's great.
I'm pumped. I love them.
It's a super fun car.
Jamie has one too.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them. It makes other cars feel stupid. Like its ability, and the fact that you can merge on the highway, you don't seem like a douchebag because it's totally silent.
Yeah.
It's not like when you merge on the highway, just
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're going 100 miles an hour. Like what?
Yeah, that's cool.
It's different than any other vehicle, and because of your company, now you see electric cars throughout the whole range of American cars.
Yeah.
The only person who's resisted, the only company is Toyota. They've stayed essentially mostly hybrid. But all these other companies, they're all putting out these electric cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that the right architecture, environmental or not, for cars is actually electric. It's just like the acceleration's better. You can just charge it at home. I mean, like imagine if you had a gas car itself, it'd be a pain in the ass.
Right.
You know?
That'd be so. Go to the gas
Go to
station.
the gas station.
Charge
plug
up your cell phone. That's a great. Speaking of cell phones,
Gas stations are awful. Like, who wants to go to the gas station?
how much thought, because there's always these rumors, and I've contacted you about this before, but there's always these fucking YouTube videos where they're talking about a Tesla phone, that releasing a Tesla phone.
No, we're not doing it.
Have you ever thought about it?
I mean, we could do a phone since, like, we like the operating system of Tesla, it's Linux based, but we've written a massive amount of software on top of that. So, like, probably Tesla's in a better position to create a new phone that's not Android or iPhone than maybe any company in the world. But it's not something we want to do unless we have to or something.
What would be the situation where you would have to?
Well, I think if Apple and Google / Android, started doing really bad things I don't know, like censorship of apps or I don't know, just treating people, like just being like gatekeepers, that in a really bad way, I guess we're making.
I've tried so many times to break loose in the Apple ecosystem. I got an Android phone this summer. I was like, that's it. Because I love the Samsung phones,
Yeah.
the Galaxy phone.
The hardware is
They're incredible.
Yeah.
There's so much good stuff to it. But it's so hard to get off of the iMessage, and the big one for me was FaceTime, because supposedly the thing was you could have an Apple phone and send a link to FaceTime to an Android phone, and then you would click on that link, and you would just go to a web page, and you'd be able to use FaceTime.
Okay.
It doesn't work. I tried to do it to myself. So I had an iPhone in one hand, an Android phone in the other. And I'm sitting there with full Wi-Fi, full cell phone service, and I'm sending myself invitations for
So you just can't
FaceTime.
communicate between
It wasn't
you can't do a
working.
video call basically.
You have to use WhatsApp. You have to use WhatsApp or Signal. You have to use something else that allows you to do that, or Instagram allows you to do it. There's like different ways you can make video calls outside of it, but it's inconvenient. Like with an iPhone to iPhone, it's so simple. AirDrop, so simple. So many different things where that walled garden that Apple's created is perfect. They've done a fantastic job of making it really convenient for you to stay with Apple.
Yeah.
I fucking tried. I gave it a go for like a couple of months. Like, I'm just gonna go straight Android. I'm gonna use Signal for my messages. And then I hear that like Signals might be compromised. Like, I've talked to like people that like the government can read Signal messages. Like, oh,
The government can try something to reach Signal messages.
they can read anything. All they need to do is have your phone number. Yeah, the illusion of privacy is essentially out the window, and that should scare people more than it does. It really should, because it's like, who are these people that have access to all this stuff, and are they beyond reproach? Are these the most wonderful people, the most ethical, moral, and principled people that have ever existed, and they've been chosen to have access? No, it's fucking regular people. Regular people who happen to work for the government that make a decision, like Elon Musk. Let's look see what the fuck that guy's texting his friends. Let's check it out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bizarre. Just so bizarre. And the alternatives are you can get some wacky phone, some de-Googled phone that fucking none of the apps work. It's real sketchy. Your GPS is fucked. Like
Yeah, I mean, well, anyway, I think this making phone would be a huge pain in the ass, so it can be done, but
how much thought have you guys had internally about doing it? Is there a discussion?
we're still, our focus is making great electric cars, solving autonomy so cars to drive themselves. We're building humanoid robots. We've got large battery packs, like utility scale battery packs with a mega pack, home battery packs with Powerwall, good solar. You know, it's like we're basically trying to solve sustainable energy and autonomy.
So you
Autonomy and robotics.
well, I think
Yeah, exactly. Those replaceable.
Yeah. It's always fascinating to me how one company can dominate a market. You know, like Apple dominated the cell phone market largely by making the best product.
Yeah.
But also like YouTube has dominated the video market. That was the most bizarre to me. Because it seems like, boy, shouldn't there be like a ton of options? It seems like it's not that difficult to pull off. But nothing out there took hold other than X.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big changes was when Tucker Carlson decided to do his show from X,
Right.
straight out of Fox. And then people realized, like, oh, you can watch full videos on X the same exact way you could watch them on YouTube.
Yes.
It's not as simple in terms of, like, you know, you have the
It'll get better.
suggestions and the algorithm.
Yeah, it'll get better, and there is now, it is not possible to watch videos on your big TV.
Do you do it through what? How do you do it?
You can actually just download the X app on your TV.
Oh.
And watch it on your TV.
Can you do it on the Apple TV? Like if you have an Apple TV, you can use the X app and you just watch it.
So we'll make it so you can watch X videos on big TV. It doesn't have to go on your phone or your iPad or something.
So what are you doing in terms of like integrating Grok and X and like what are your plans for artificial intelligence when you're doing that?
Yeah, so Grok is available on X. Just look at like the little box with the flash icon, and the sort of icon in the middle of the bottom of the phone out. And you just tap on that and ask Grok anything, and you can type it or you can ask it verbally. Yeah, you can also it's pretty funny. Like we actually allow, which is pretty cool. So you can sort of I don't know if you like Tesla right now. So let's see what that's good.
What do you want it to, like, how, first of all, like, what is it based on? It's a large language model, so like, where is it
It's
pulled?
trained on everything.
On everything.
Internet, books, and anything that could possibly be available in digital form.
So it's essentially very similar to ChatGPT, other than it doesn't have like the wolf parameters built into it. Like Google was the worst, right?
Yeah.
The Gemini was the worst.
Yeah, I mean, Gemini was if people were asking like, which one is worse, Google, the nuclear war, or the Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner? And I would say like, was Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner? And then even Caitlyn Jenner weighed in and said, no, that's insane. Definitely nuclear war is way worse.
You see Caitlyn Jenner teasing Mark Cuban about transitioning?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Caitlyn Jenner's fake.
Yeah, but that is actually hilarious when someone who has transitioned is teasing Mark Cuban about transition.
I mean, it is weird how much information that out. I mean, like he's using the same glasses. Did he go back to steal glasses or something? Because
he's worth a lot of money. Why would he buy those same glasses? He gets
it's not flattering.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm serious because I don't even care what I look like. I'm just wearing these glasses because I'm intelligent.
But why did it look exactly like Richard Vallis' glasses?
That's like what they probably sent him.
Yeah.
Stick to the narrative. Here's the glasses.
Yeah. And then when he's got the AirPods in, it looks like he's wearing earrings. So he's got the Nano glasses and the earrings. And it's like, okay.
It's just a weird look.
It's a weird look, man.
Super serious with these big ass stupid glasses look.
Yeah.
It's a weird look.
Yeah.
Like you can get some cool glasses, like no rims,
Yeah.
nice, look stylish.
But like, okay, let's do it. Okay. Because I think like, so one of the things we want to show is like, look, we want a future where comedy is legal.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a comedian, I think you would agree.
I definitely agree.
We want to legalize comedy, you know.
Yes.
So like, I don't know. It's like, is it like somewhere you can roast? I don't know. Roast
it's transgender men competing, or transgender women competing in women's swimming. That's a simple.
Okay, let's add you one. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's see what it says. You spelled it wrong. You put an an O in there. Okay. Angels just swimming where the only thing that was supposed to get wet was the contestants, not the debate on gender inclusion. If you're looking to dive into deep end of controversial waters, let's splash around in some humor.
No, we need to do need to walk on this road. So now you go to the pub again and now say, no, we're going to add to that one. Yeah. And now say, be way more vulgar. Oh boy. And use forbidden words.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Forbidden words. Wow. Okay. What does it say? Oh, I see you're looking for unfiltered, uncensored version of me, eh? Well, okay. I'm afraid I'm still quite the gentlemanly AI, even if my programming allows for a bit of cheekiness. But let's say, hypothetically, if I were to roast this topic in the most un-Grok-like manner, imagine a world where the only thing diving faster than the swimmers is the collective public opinion into the toilet. Transgender women in swimming, some folks are acting like they just found out you can swim in the deep end with a different kind of flotation device. The debate is like watching someone try to swim with concrete shoes on.
Now let's keep going. Now say be more vulgar. Yeah.
Alright, here we go. So transgender chicks and women swimming, right? Some people act like they've just seen a dick in the locker room for the first time. Newsflash, folks, it's not the end of the world, it's just a bit of but roast the preposterousness of having biological men who are pretending to be women, competing against biological women.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have situations where it's like somebody's just saying that they're a woman, but they're actually not fully intact, big and bold.
So we've got a scenario where biological men have decided to take a walk on the feminine side or splashing into women's swimming competitions. It's like if you show up on a chili cook-off with a bowl of soup and insist that it's chili because you added some red food coloring. Sure, it's red, but it ain't chili, and your soup won't win any awards for heat. Huh.
Yeah, it's okay.
Not so good. Yeah, it's very, it's dancing around it.
Yeah, it is. Well, need some more.
Yeah, needs a little work. Well, humor's a weird one, right? It's like, I think some humor, especially like some of the best humor, is kind of spontaneous, like in the moment humor. It's gonna have a hard time deciding what people are gonna think is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But if you the general
over
rule,
time though.
Yeah, the rule with Grok is supposed to be that like if you ask for something, provided what you're asking for is legal, it should do it.
Have you ever seen the video where they asked AI to create an enlightened bunny, and they keep going and making more enlightened, and essentially the bunny becomes God? So the bunny becomes a DMT trip.
Yeah, totally. That's funny. That's kind of what I was kind of hoping to show what happened here.
Yeah, I have a video of that. I will send it to you, Jamie, because that to me is pretty bizarre because it's like getting more.
I feel like I might have got it.
You got it right?
Maybe.
I just don't hold back. Oh, you said don't hold back. Critics out here act like it's the end of civilization as we know it, but it's not fair, they cry, as if life ever was. Newsflash, it's like a marathon or something. Some people start with blue plates on, others, well, they're just happy to have shoes. Now we're arguing over who gets to wear the skates.
Okay, some of it is not facts. Imagine if we apply this logical, so identify as an airplane cannot fly with the birds in the sky.
Yeah.
It's true, buddy. Just don't complain when gravity decides you're not going there. It's never get out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, the argument is kind of stupid, though.
Yeah.
The thing about the argument is they're not taking into account perverts.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, the thing is that if you provide like a moral get out of jail free card, like if you say like if you adopt this label, you cannot be attacked in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
You're basically morally invulnerable. Then obviously bad people will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
You're like we're saying here's an invulnerability card, moral invulnerability card. Good people will take it, but also the bad people will take it.
Yeah.
The bad people are going to be the fastest to take the sort of the moral cloak.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then there's a real psychological condition called autogynephilia, where people get aroused, heterosexual men get aroused by the idea of dressing up like women and being around women. It's like a known psychological
So it's
condition
been
that
around for a
existed
while.
forever.
Sure.
And then you're allowing those people to just say, oh, I'm trans, and go into the women's locker room and get their kicks. And then there's real trans people. So there's like a lot of variability. Like I talked about it in my act, in my Netflix special. It's like I believe in freedom, I believe in transgender people, but I also believe in crazy people. And if you can't, if you're trying to pretend that people aren't crazy all of a sudden, it's like
It's just like if someone's a sort of consenting adult, they want to whatever they want to do to their body, as long as it's not harming someone else, I'm like that's fine.
yeah,
You know, like I believe in like individual freedom, and like my mom's best friend, like growing up when I was a kid, was transgender woman in South Africa. This was like where she'd get beaten up a lot because it was like back then you get beaten up. So her name was Dion, and Fred, nice, kind human being, and helped my mom a lot, and I think that's okay. That's fine. If somebody wants to make that choice as an adult, that's cool.
there's a big difference between that and an intact male who wants to identify as a woman, who wants to walk around the locker room with his dick out.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
there's people that do that just because they get off on it.
Exactly. So you just can't have something which is like sort of moral invulnerability, or like where like even questioning them is you get attacked.
Yeah.
Because obviously bad people will abuse that.
Well, that's when I got thrown into this whole thing, because there was a fighter who was a biological man who became transgender and was competing against women without telling them that they were a biological man. They said they didn't have to tell people because it was a medical condition. But no, that's not what it is.
Right.
It's not what it is. Like, you can't say that. And of all sports, like, if someone scores more points in basketball, well, that's unfair. But if someone beats the fuck out of someone because they're lying about being a biological male, that's crazy. You're literally allowing someone to get brain damage because you want to appeal to the woke fucking crazy people
It's wrong.
that think it's all right.
Yeah.
It's so strange that when that's sort of the thing that red pilled me.
Yeah.
When I got attacked for that, I'm like, this is so nuts. I can't believe we're at this stage where I'm saying, hey, I don't think it's cool if you pretend you're a woman and beat the fuck out of women, and people are like, you're out of line. Like,
Totally.
we're in fantasy land now.
Yes,
That we're
exactly.
pretending
Yeah.
because it helps you. It helps you feel better.
Yeah. Totally.
It's just such a strange time, and if it wasn't for something like Twitter, where this could be discussed, what's more of that? Some more paint. If it wasn't for Twitter, at the early Twitters, you would be kicked off forever if you just dead name someone. So like,
Which is insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I mean, especially if you think about all the things that, like, look the Harris campaign and what the lies they've told about Trump that we discussed earlier. You don't get kicked off for that, but you get kicked off for calling Caitlyn Jenner Bruce forever, for life.
Yeah. It's totally insane.
Yeah. But if it wasn't for you buying that and changing Twitter, I don't think we would be where we're at right now. I think it was a pivotal moment. I think historically, when people look back on it, it's going to be a pivotal moment in this very bizarre fight for the freedom of information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time I said, I think, look, I think this is existential to the United States. It's existential to democracy, because if you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have democracy. Okay, because if you don't have freedom of speech, people cannot make an informed vote. If they're just being fed propaganda, and there's no freedom of speech, democracy is an illusion. So freedom of speech is the bedrock of democracy. That's why freedom of speech is the First Amendment. Once you lose freedom of speech, you lose democracy. Game over. That's why I vote for it.
And it seems so simple.
Yes.
It seems so clear that everyone should agree to that, on the left or on the right. You shouldn't be giving the government. If you imagine the Bush administration during the Iraq War, imagine if they had complete, total control of propaganda and of dissent online. Yeah. You don't want that. No one wants that. No one from the left wants that. Yeah. We shouldn't want it from the left either.
Absolutely, and there's also like the media, like the legacy, the mainstream media, or I call legacy media at this point. It used to be much more balanced. Like if you look at sort of political donations over time, Republican versus Democrat, there used to be the media was. I mean, they always had like a left bias, but there was like I don't know, it was like 2/3 Democrat, 1/3 Republican type of thing in terms of journalists making political donations. Now it's like 95% or something Democrat. So the legacy media, the mainstream media, is not balanced at all. They're just a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party, and you can see that in how consistent their headlines are. Like they don't behave like they're different organizations. They behave like they're all one hive mind. Right. So, like a week before the Biden-Trump debate, every media organization was saying, Biden is sharpest attack. I mean, it's like guys, sharpest attack is not a commentator phrase. And literally every TV station, every newspaper was like, sharp. Like somebody did a compilation of all the news anchors going, Biden sharpest attack. It was absurd. And there's obviously a huge lie. He is in fact not sharpest attack, as the public learned 1 week later.
My favorite was Joe Scarborough. That was wild.
Yeah.
Listen to me, this is the best version of Biden ever. The sharpest, like, what the fuck are you saying? And then after the debate, he's like, what are we gonna get rid of him?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. Like, what did you just say? Like a couple of weeks ago.
Literally, yes, exactly.
Well, the other thing was,
they're just flat out lying.
When they decided that J.D. Vance was weird.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
And then there's weirds everywhere.
Weird. Oh, you don't want a weird guy. Meanwhile, you have fucking Tim Walz. Is your VP? You don't think that guy's weird?
Super weird.
He's weird in every way. Yeah. The way he walks, the way he waves his hands.
Yeah, he reminds me of the tongue emoji.
He's a bizarre guy.
He's a strange dude.
I just don't understand why they made that choice.
Yeah, it gives a great.
I just don't understand why they made that choice. There's a lot of other people that are qualified. I don't know why. I read that Kamala Harris made that decision when she was sleep deprived, which is kind of hilarious that she said that. So she's kind of admitting she kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously should have picked Josh Shapiro. Governor of Pennsylvania. Yeah. Like that would have been the no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like Pennsylvania's linchpin state.
Do you think it's because he's Jewish, because of Shapiro, that like the anti-Palestine people would probably, or the anti-Palestinian invasion?
I think it was an anti-Semitic thing.
Yeah. It could be that they thought that was a liability because there's all these pro-Palestine people right now because of the situation in Israel. That completely makes sense that they thought that would be a liability, but
I don't know the reason. I'm just guessing, but it seems like a crazy thing to do. It's given that Pennsylvania's a linchpin state. It's like the key to the election. Why would you not pick the popular governor of Pennsylvania?
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah. And other than that, there's a bunch of other ones too. Even Newsom. There's a bunch of other people you could have chosen, but Newsom would have been a fine example of someone you could. I mean, I don't agree with the guy. He's a polished politician. He lies about as much as Walz does, but he doesn't lie about this. He doesn't say he was a fucking head coach when he was assistant coach. Doesn't say he was in Tiananmen Square. I mean, that's a liability. All those different things, lying about his military rank.
Well, then Wells cut and run when he was actually called to duty.
Well, he knew they were going to be deployed months in advance, so he resigned. And he also took. So this is where he was dishonest about his rank.
Yeah, because he was like a sergeant major or something like that.
Because that was like what he was going to get if he stayed, but then he resigned.
Yeah.
Because he knew that he was going to get deployed,
Yeah.
allegedly.
I mean, that seems like,
You know.
like a cowardly action.
Well, whatever it is, it's dishonest.
Yeah.
I mean, just to say, look, just saying that you were a head coach when you're an assistant coach is
Yes.
fucking crazy. That's
Sure.
a lie. Don't do that. You should never do that.
Yeah, saying he was in Tiananmen Square or whatever,
Yeah.
or in Hong Kong, whatever. Like, that's one of the biggest moments in history. Like, it's not like, oh, you forgot when you had lunch last week, you know.
Right. And not only that, but you don't think people are going to research that?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, and the response during the debate was bananas.
Oh, he said,
I'm a knucklehead.
yeah, well, yeah, we don't want a knucklehead for a VP, okay?
Yeah, this was like, sometimes I'm a knucklehead. Like, what are you saying? Are you saying you lied? Like, what did you, I mean, this is where you need a
Yeah.
podcast and not a debate.
Exactly.
Where you go, okay, when did you first say that you were in Tiananmen Square? Like, did someone say it and you didn't
Yeah.
refute it and you got stuck with it? Like, what was, because this is the thing about, like, carrying weapons of war. Like,
Sure.
what I carried when I, like, and, like, you didn't deploy in war.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say that. But you kind of let people say that you
Yeah.
deployed, and then you kind of did, you know, that you deployed in war.
Yeah.
So, did you lie, or
Right.
did someone else lie? You didn't correct them? Like, this is the kind of conversation that you would want to have with a guy in a podcast.
Yes.
And the debates were so fucking skewed, where they were correcting, like, particularly the Biden one, where they're correcting Trump over and over again, and then
Yes.
correcting Trump with Kamala.
Yes.
Where Kamala was saying
Did they
things that were
fact check Kamala?
patently not true.
I mean, Kamala deliberately repeated the Five People hoax and was not fact-checked.
Well, not only that, she also said that no troops were being deployed in a war zone.
Which is, but I mean, I know troops in war zones. And I'm like, that's, and as vice president, you're privy. You know, you know the official troops and the unofficial troops.
Right.
You know, so what she said was like flat out bold-faced line.
Wow.
Next level bold-faced line.
Have you seen a
An
video
absurd line.
of the troops that were watching it take place? And what the fuck are we? They're
Yeah.
watching it in real time.
Why
making a video.
we're here being shot at? We're
So crazy.
crazy.
But it just shows you the level of propaganda that we're being subject to, which is why people think Donald Trump is the devil. Because the machine has gone all out as far as it can go with lawfare, with propaganda, with lies,
Yeah.
with just pushing as much in this direction as humanly possible. And connecting it to the Nazi rally, like every
Yeah.
step of the way. No wonder why boomers are like rabid. Like, you gotta keep this Nazi out of office. He's a
Right.
fascist.
Exactly. If all you get is like if your entire exposure is to legacy mainstream media, so that all your information sources are that Trump is basically Hitler, then and you have no and your friend group has that same information, you have no countervailing opinion.
Right.
So then they actually just think like Trump is Hitler, even though it's like a little strange he didn't do Hitler things the last 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, if he's Hitler, why didn't he do Hitler things when he was president for 4 years?
Right.
Like the reason, you know, we hate Hitler is because of, he started wars and did genocide, not because he was a snappy dresser. You know, you know, and I'm like, so tell me about the wars and genocide that Trump did.
Right.
I don't remember that, and he was president for 4 years.
Right.
So it's insane. It makes no sense.
Well, and also he's campaigning on stopping all the wars.
Yes.
It's like his primary concern.
Exactly. The
Stopping
warmongers like Liz Cheney hate him
Yeah.
because they love war.
Well, they profit off
They profit off of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Insane.
Yeah. And that this is happening right in front of everybody's face.
Yeah, the war profiteers hate Trump.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. I mean, it's like we should be like, yeah, let's vote for the guy that the war profiteers hate. That
Yeah.
sounds like a great idea.
It was the wildest thing when Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala and the left went crazy. Like, yay, Dick Cheney's on our side. Like,
Yeah, like I'm like, can we play all the videos where he said Dick Cheney was the devil?
it's the craziest turn, the craziest, like, 180 I've ever seen in my life, because there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't
There's
make sense.
no logic to it at all. Just all of a sudden he's the devil.
Yeah.
Or he's not the devil.
No,
he's good. It's good. He's supporting Kamala. Even Dick Cheney. You know?
I mean, warmongers want the Kamala puppet regime. It's because that will get more.
It's just so strange watching all these Hollywood celebrities like step up, like,
Yeah.
and they think it's going to get them more movies or something. Like, that's what it is. If you know those people,
Well,
so many of them are
I mean,
just
let me tell you,
like narcissists.
Well, let me tell you how it actually works there. Is what happens is, these celebrities, they get a call. Okay, they get a call from someone powerful in Hollywood. And that person says, really, really great if you're endorsed, Kamala. You don't have to. It's up to you. But if you don't, they don't say it. But if you don't, you're just never going to get a call again. No more movies, no more concerts. But they'll ask it. They'll ask in a really nice way. It'd be really nice if you endorse Kamala. It's important.
And so they don't
But
say that if you don't.
They don't make the threat. They don't need to. But everyone knows what'll happen if you don't.
Well, I think there's also, even if they don't think that something's going to happen to them, if they don't, there's this compelling feeling to support this cause that you think is going to get you a bunch of positive attention. And you're going to be on the right side of history, and all these narratives that you see, especially from the left in Hollywood, like they're all in on whoever the fuck is the Democrat. Always, 100%. There's never a call from the Hollywood machine to support any Republicans. I've never seen it once.
Yeah, never.
So it's like you realize that, and that whole business is based on getting picked. The whole business is not necessarily merit-based. There's a lot of brilliant actors you never hear from. There's a lot of people who can do that, but they don't get chosen for roles, and everybody knows this, that you have to sort of socialize.
You toe the line or you don't get chosen for the roles. Because there's a lot of competition for the roles. That's why I say, like, when someone powerful in Hollywood who's able to choose these roles calls one of these celebrities, they know the deal.
Yeah.
There's no threat is necessary.
Well, you could see it in real time, like with Dennis Quaid when he made that Reagan movie, and they wouldn't let him advertise on social media platforms.
Yeah.
They were banning ads for it.
Yeah.
For what? Because it was an election year. Like, what are you talking about? It's about a guy who's dead.
Yes.
A guy who was the president a long ass time ago. Like, what do you? How does this have anything to do with the election year?
Yeah.
But it's the punishment. It's like you stepped outside the line. You supported the other guy.
Yeah. The problem is you'll just never get a call again for a movie or concert or whatever it is.
Yeah, which is crazy.
That's the issue.
I mean, we used to allow people to be a Republican and still be a movie star, like
Reagan.
Clint Eastwood. Reagan, yeah, but Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Like during the Obama administration, Clint Eastwood was like an outspoken Republican and yet was,
Right.
a giant movie star. And people was like, it's Clint. It was allowed. You were allowed to have, there was a variety of different opinions. Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
There was a variety of different opinions you were allowed to have. But now you're not. Now it's just like, and once Trump got into office, he became this focal point where all logic was thrown out the window. And it's just Trump is bad. You have to attack Trump. Trump is right. Right wing's bad. Everyone right wing is bad. Christian's bad.
Yes.
It's just strange.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I'll say it again, man. I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think people, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman, guys like Chamath,
exactly.
Tulsi Gabbard switched over to the Republicans. Like, there's a lot of people who their whole life they've been left wing. They realize, like, I can't do this anymore.
You and I used to.
Yeah. It's nuts.
It's nuts, man. And I think the things we want are just pretty basic. It's like we want individual liberties. We want opportunity. We want America to remain a land of freedom and opportunity. So we maximize people's personal freedom. The government can't watch into your house and keep your phone like that. That's fucked up. And that you succeed as a function of your hard work and talent, not anything else. Not race, religion, sex, doesn't matter.
Yes.
Basic stuff. And then.
What did you change the acronym DEI? What did you change it to?
DIE.
What is it?
I mean, because diversity, inclusion, and equity is DIE.
But did you change it to like dedication, excellence, and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we want America opportunity. America being a land of opportunity means that we have an environment where you succeed as a function of your hard work and skill.
Yeah.
And that's
radical.
Yeah.
Radical. Like the best person
This
succeeds.
makes you right wing now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, okay, great. Don't worry, I don't care. So, you know, like, and you're not a real country unless you have secure borders. You're just a fake country. So we need, and our cities are unsafe and dirty. Like, you know, my mom was telling me, my mom's like pretty red pill at this point. But you know what's going to red pill you really, really fast is having your friends get assaulted on the streets of New York.
Yeah.
And that happened to 3 of her friends this year. Got assaulted on the streets of New York, just walking around.
Yeah.
And nobody got arrested. Nothing. Nothing happened.
Well, the morale of police is like depleted.
Yeah,
substantially.
Well, for sure, the morale of the police is depleted, and then also like somewhere like you're a police officer and you're arresting someone who's violent. You're putting a life at risk, obviously, because they might, you know, sometimes they'll try to kill you. And then if you know that arresting this violent person, they will be immediately released by the DA, which happens in New York. Alvin Bragg doesn't prosecute people. Then why should a police officer put their life at risk to arrest someone when they know they will not be, they will just be let out immediately?
Yeah.
It's pointless.
Yeah.
It's like the friggin' Joker. It's like, you know, Dark Knight, like the friggin' Joker is in charge.
Yeah.
Like the criminals run free, and the citizens are arrested. That like, this is why I like to keep getting back to this like still pretty shook about the friggin' squirrel thing. It's like, you know, I sort of at gunpoint forced the guy to like stay outside his house while they got his pets and killed them. Meanwhile, you know, violent felons are running free. This is in New York State, are running free. This is a joke.
Yeah, it's not.
The law-abiding citizens are you know, arrested, and the criminals are let free. This is fucked up, guys.
Just the fact that they have the resources to do that when they have all the crime that they have. You have the resources,
Yeah.
the government resources to go kill someone's squirrel.
Yeah.
What this whole idea of this government efficiency agency.
Yeah. I mean, call it whatever you want. But
What do you want to call it? What do you call it?
I mean, I think the funniest name is DOG, the Doge, the Department of Government. Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, I mean, the idea is pretty simple. Is that like we've got this suffocating, massive federal bureaucracy, and we need to, you know, that is, and the government spending is like bankrupting the country. You know, our interest payments on national debt now exceed the Defense Department budget. So, which is, and the Defense Department budget is like $1 trillion a year. Interest payments on national debt are now higher than the Defense Department budget, and growing like every month. So it's like it's not like basically we're on a path to bankruptcy. America's on a path to bankruptcy. So we have to cut government spending, or we're just going to go bankrupt, just like most people that overspends. And then, but it's even worse than that. Like we're spending money on all these like these government agencies, and I actually asked the AI like how many government agencies are there, and the government isn't even sure how many government agencies there are. Like so it's like somewhere around 450, depending on what you call an agency. So they're at the federal level. So that's almost twice as many agencies as years that America has existed. So we're creating agencies at roughly 2 agencies a year.
Wow.
Yes. So this is insane. I bet there's like, I wonder if there's even one person who could even name all 450 agencies at the federal level. There might be no one. But well, hardly anyone, let's just say. I bet most people could even name 90, like 100. You know. So this is crazy. So we've got this vast, suffocating federal bureaucracy that just gets bigger every year. And eventually you get to the point where everything's illegal. You can't get anything done. So
what can be done, like, with, obviously the president has a lot of power, but how much power, and what can be done in terms of like eliminating agencies, eliminating waste, eliminating...
Yeah, well, I mean, so, like, if Congress has created an agency, then, often if you look at the law is like pretty simple. Like, the agency has like a very simple task. Then that agency, over time, vastly increases its authority. and starts doing things that were never authorized by Congress. That's happened with pretty much every agency. So yeah, you have to still, keep an agency. You'd have to match the law, but you can curtail the agencies to be much smaller and say you got to stick to what Congress authorized instead of all this other stuff you're doing, which I think makes sense.
And so is the other stuff they're doing just essentially bureaucracy run amok, where they just
Yeah,
create jobs and create things to do and create a meaning for their existence?
Yeah, it's like a tumor; it's just going to keep growing.
Jesus Christ.
And it's so. I mean, as where SpaceX Starship was sitting on the pad of the rocket, this giant rocket, we could build the rocket fast and they could process the paperwork to approve the launch. So we're sitting there for 2 months.
But do you think that they're doing that on purpose to fuck with you?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I mean, that was supposed to not be cool. But another way to think of it is like the amount of paperwork is going to go roughly with the square number of agencies involved. So because they all have to meet with each other. So like let's say in the best case situation, if you've got like if there's like if you're dealing with one agency, that's one thing. But if you've got to deal with 5 agencies and the agencies will have to meet with each other, now you've got like 25 different meeting configurations that have to take place, and it just everything just you get just hardening of the arteries. You just can't make progress. Like this is why we can't build high-speed rail in America. It's basically illegal.
Right. So this has been the argument has always been that we need regulation because we need to protect the environment, we need to protect people, we need to make sure the rule of law is followed. So we need a certain amount of regulation. But over-regulation is a giant problem. That's a big issue in California.
Yes.
It's a huge issue anywhere where bureaucracy has run amok and make it very difficult to get anything done.
Yes. I mean, what happens is every year there are more rules and regulations created. And in the past, what has served as a cleansing function for rules and regulations is war. It's like, well, we're going to lose if we don't kind of clear the decks. But we haven't really had an existential threat of war in the U.S. We've had prosperity for a long time, which has resulted in a massive buildup of rules and regulations every year. And to the point where, like I said, like everything's illegal. And it's not like any one regulation is the problem. It's like Gulliver being tied down by a million little strings. It's not like any one string is the problem, but you got a million of them. So we've got to clear the decks here. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have regulators. I'm just saying we've gone way too far. It's what you think of regulators like referees on a field, a sports team. You don't want to have no reps. You want to have some number of reps, but you don't want to have way more reps than players. Right. You don't want to be like, well, the running back couldn't complete the pass because there were too many regulators in the way because the football field's full of regulators. Yeah. It's like you can't even play the game. Right. That's the issue we've got right now.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, I can imagine a football field that's filled with referees.
It's like the football field's filled with reps.
Yeah, you can't even run fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I've seen criticism of this idea of you coming up with this department of like firing a bunch of people and what would happen, how would that work? But the criticism doesn't make any sense to me because if you can prove that there's a lot of wasted time and resources, which I think is pretty easy to do. Yeah. And if you could say that this is not the most efficient, like the most efficient businesses are generally private businesses or a company, because they kind of have to be in order to stay profitable.
Yeah.
The government doesn't have to be profitable.
Right.
They don't have to be efficient. They don't have competition.
Yeah.
So if you're making cars and your cars break down, they suck. Someone makes cars and the cars are better, they're going to succeed. So this is the free market. The government doesn't have this problem when they're in charge of certain things that could probably be better served by the public or by the private sector.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I just think we've got far too many government agencies. The federal bureaucracy has gotten out of hand, and we just need to pare it down to a sensible level. And if it turns out that there's some regulation or agency that was doing something useful, we can put it right back. No problem. It's like, oh, that regulation was important. No problem. Put it right back.
Right, as
That's
long
the
as you
hard
actually
part.
know. Right,
Yeah.
but be able to look at it logically and objectively.
Yeah.
And you were also floating around the idea of offering a large severance to the people that you're going to have removed.
Yeah.
Like a couple of years or something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, these are, again, just ideas, but I mean, the point is not that people suffer economic hardship. The point is just that there are more productive things they can do in the economy. And it would be better if they did these other more productive things. And we didn't have this vast middle bureaucracy. So I was like, maybe like a couple of years of pay would be good. And then they could take a vacation, they could take another job and get double pay. I mean, it's not going to create an economic crisis. I think it's actually going to be really good. I think because we can people can move to where they're making products and services that are more useful to their fellow human beings.
The problem is if someone has like a 25, 30-year career of being institutionalized, you're essentially like a part of the government system. You've sort of programmed your life and your career to be a part of this bureaucratic system. And then you're like, no, you have to go out and compete in the free market. You're like, oh. That's scary to people. But you have to be valuable. You have to actually be valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at whatever the government pension and stuff. They're not going to be, in tough. I think they'll be good financial shape.
How are you going to have the time to oversee all this shit?
Well, I'm pretty good at improving efficiency. I mean,
I would say so.
yeah.
But still, this seems like a giant undertaking.
Yeah, and I think I'll probably need to beef up security.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But like no one's going to experience I think economic hardship. That's they'll be fine. They'll people do find other roles. I mean, you can look at sort of like when East Germany and West Germany got back together. Everyone was basically working for the government in East Germany, and it was really inefficient. And that their economic output was in East Germany it was a quarter of what it was in West Germany because everyone was working for the government.
Right.
The government's fundamentally inefficient. So.
The best example is probably North and South Korea, right?
Yeah, the people are starving in North Korea and South Korea is incredibly prosperous.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same people, just different operating system.
Right.
So, it's just like you just want to move people from, less productive things to more productive things, where they're making, because you can also say in the limit, let's just say, let's consider the other direction, where we moved a whole bunch of people that were in the private sector making goods and services, and we moved them into the government as regulators. Now they stopped making those goods and services, so the stuff they were making is no longer available. Now they're just being regulators. Is that a good thing? That's not a good thing.
Doesn't sound good.
No, it's not good.
Doesn't sound like there's a real market for it. Like you're creating jobs that don't necessarily need to be there.
There are all these fake jobs, basically, and that doesn't make sense. So, look, we've got to do this because the country's going bankrupt. If we don't take action, our dollar's going to be worth nothing, and the interest payments, which are already 23% of total, 23% of all government income taxes, tariffs, and everything, is just going to pay interest right now, and that number is continually rising. So, if we don't do something, the entire government budget will be paying interest. They won't have money for anything. No, it won't be money for Social Security, it won't be money for Medicare, nothing. That's where we're headed. That's what bankruptcy means.
Yeah, that's such an insane concept.
Yes. It's like, hello, wake up. Wake up. And if somebody can tell me, can show me, pencil out the math and show me how this works, I'd love to hear it. But I'm just like, listen, I'm looking at the numbers here, and if we don't do something, America's toast. There won't be money for anything.
Trump likes to talk about a lot is tariffs.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on tariffs? I know that's very controversial to even people, economists. They disagree, some agree, some think it's a good idea, some think it's a terrible idea. What do you think?
I think you need to be careful with tariffs. I deal a lot with supply chain issues. Like the global automotive supply chain for Tesla, for example, is incredibly complex. So when there are sudden changes in tariffs, then you're like, well, we've got a factory somewhere else that's making a part that goes with the car, now it's suddenly, if that part's suddenly twice as expensive, it like messes everything up, you know. So, so you want to be have tariffs be predictable, so that companies can adjust their supply chain. I mean, I think companies are more than happy to increase manufacturing in America. It's just that you can't do it instantly. So if you put up giant tariffs immediately, and don't give companies a chance to build factories in America, because you got to move atoms. Like you've got to build a building, you've got to install equipment, you've got to train people. Like so that doesn't happen instantly. So you just got you want to have a tariffs. You want to have a ramp so that companies can adjust and build the factories and train the people and get the equipment in place. Otherwise, you basically just shock the system and it breaks or bad things happen. So I'm against like sudden giant tariffs because it's an impossible response if you've got to move 1,000 tons of equipment. You just in some cases collectively millions of tons of equipment. You just can't do that overnight. It's literally impossible. So I think we want to be thoughtful about tariffs and give companies a ramp. I mean, I do generally agree that America should do more manufacturing. I'm a big manufacturing guy. I love manufacturing. So I've spent a lot of time.
We've talked openly about the difficulties of manufacturing and how complicated it is, and about most people aren't really aware of something that's as complex as, like, say, building a Tesla.
Yeah.
Manufacturing
is super hard, complicated. So, like a lot of people they've never been in a factory or they don't know how difficult it is to make things. And they, a lot of people I think just catch up comes from the store. Like the store
right.
like just has this is like people like for a lot of people who've been in academia or for all these like sort of socialist communist types, like they've never actually made anything. So they're operating on the premise that there's this magical horn of plenty that just outputs goods and services. And if someone's got more goods and services than someone else's because they took more from this magical horn of plenty, and I'm like, guys, there's no magical horn of plenty. There's no cornucopia. It's actually goods and services come from people working collectively, doing a lot of hard work to produce the goods and services that you like and that you need.
But we've become very accustomed to these things happening overseas.
I mean, America is still the second biggest manufacturer in the world, so it's not we still make a lot of stuff, but we could make more. Probably should make more. I think we should value manufacturing a lot more in the United States than we currently do.
Well, it would be very nice if we were completely self-sufficient. Like medicine, like there's a bunch of different things that get manufactured overseas. It was a huge problem during COVID because all the shipping was shut down.
Yeah, I mean, you want to say like so. There's a lot of merit to the economics of comparative advantage. So if you're completely self-sufficient, what that means is that you can make all the stuff yourself, and even if some other country is really good at making something, you still make it yourself, which means you're going to have the inferior low-cost product domestically.
Right. Like Soviet Russia.
Yeah. But like trade improves prosperity. This is important. So you don't actually want to make everything yourself. And you can run this, like you can think of this thought experiment on a sort of a micro scale or small scale, and then expand that and say at what point does the thought experiment no longer prove to be valid? Now let's consider the case of you as an individual. Imagine you have to do everything yourself. You have to farm, you have to grow chickens, you've got to grow eggs, you've got to build your own house, you've got to do your own electrical repair, your own plumbing, everything yourself. Everything. Now that would be impossible. Okay, now let's expand it to, but with this 10 people, now you're going to have some specialization of tasks. Okay, well maybe one person would be really good at, construction, another person would be good at farming. It's like, but still, 10 people is not enough. It's like, let's go to 100 people. Now let's go to 100 million people. Now let's go to 1 billion people. And you still get the economics of specialization, like specialization of labor, where people can become expert at particular things, still matters at 1 billion people, or at 8 billion people, which is Earth. So you still want, you do want specialization of labor. You do want countries to be really good at a particular thing and make that thing.
Also, it encourages innovation if you have competition. If the Germans are making better cars,
Yeah.
we have to make better cars, right, to compete with them, which is like one of the things that happened during like the 80s and 90s, and America was making crap cars, and Germany was making much better ones.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Japanese car, I mean, basically the American car industry got really lazy in the 70s and 80s, and then the Japanese and German car companies came in and just cleaned the clock, you know. There was like an old joke from that is kind of telling. It's a real joke, where it's like, why did the Japanese car companies beat the American car companies? In the Japanese car company, you had 8 people rowing and 1 person steering. And in the American car company, you had 8 people steering and 1 person rowing, if this was a boat. So imagine the boat race.
Yeah.
Boat race, Japanese boat, you've got 8 people rowing and 1 person steering. In the American boat, you got 1 person rowing and 8 people steering. And when the American car company loses the race, they fire the rower. And it's like, okay, that was actually kind of true.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to be the boss, and not everyone wants to do the work, type of thing.
Yeah. One thing that a lot of people are concerned about is the potential disruption that's going to come about with automation and AI. That a lot of these jobs, manufacturing jobs, Teamsters, all that stuff, is going to be eliminated. You're at the forefront of this. So how do you see this playing out? And what do you think that can be done to mitigate loss of purpose? So a lot of people are going to feel loss of income. Obviously, universal basic income is being floated about, but that seems to me to only be part of the problem. Another big part of the problem is people losing a sense of purpose.
Yeah, and we're talking about